Self-surrender is the highest type of devotion. But why is it so? Because in self-surrender there is no two. There is not a subject and an object. All the type of devotion, what we call bhakti in India, so is all good. We can have devotion for some deities, for a guru, for God, for any otherness which is separate, because there is a subject and an object. So it means both are objectified. The object of devotion, the guru, the god, or even if it is breathing or whatever, or light and sound, the inner light and sound, the shabd, or the nada, or whatever we put our attention on is devotion. So we could translate devotion by just attention. Where we put our attention, there we are. That's why we call it devotion or love. We like to put our attention there on this object. But there is still me and this object. So both are objectified. The object, of course, but the subject also, me, is objectified. It's still a solid object, me and this. So, and why we say self-surrender is the highest type of devotion? Because it is disappearance of the two entities. There is only that. So we call it also in India para bhakti. It means there is no two. So it's beyond a classical or a separate type of bhakti or devotion. So we have to understand properly why we do that, to worship a deity, a guru, or a physical form, or a subtle form, or even the idea of God is still an object. So, because when you think of God, you have to project it somehow as an object. Through your own concept, it will be projected. And for everyone, it will be different because we have all a unique type of conditioning. So, but it's still a projection. Projected from the first object, subject, I, which is a subject but objectified. So we worship, we put our attention on something. And for people who are not at all resonating on this idea of devotion, bhakti, it's same as, self-inquiry, Advaita, to put the attention on I. The sense of I is same, because you put your attention somewhere. So it's a subtle separation of I putting attention on I, who try to eliminate itself. So there are all ways to bring attention somewhere else. We are used to put our attention on our thought, on our mind, on our desires, projected outside on other objects. So it's just a play of attention, to transplant attention from one place to another one. So instead of putting my attention on my thoughts, I will put it on a breathing, a guru, a deity, or inner light and sound, or whatever practice you may have, which is very useful and very practical if we understand why we do that. But why we do that? Because we believe to be separate. So we need a support. So we are told to use support. And it's mostly inevitable for most of us because we are so identified with as a separate entity. So we may accept that stage or steps, which is part of the travel, inner travel. In truth, we are going nowhere because we are already here, which is our own true nature, our own home, self. So it's an imaginary trip to somewhere which is here always. So that's a divine game or cosmic joke. So, but to understand properly the mechanic of that, the play of attention, whether through self-inquiry, non-duality, or devotion, you can even mix. The best is to mix both wings of devotion and self-inquiry. They support very well each other. But it is the same idea. Finally, is self-surrender, mean I has surrendered itself to his higher self. So there is no two. It may seem as there is a higher self, but in truth it's our own. It's what I am. That's why we say self-surrender is the highest type of devotion. So the more it is true, in my experience, that I do not exist, I do nothing, I need nothing. These statements might be used as a support for some time with a higher intellect, a higher mind, to go beyond the normal thinking mind, which is mostly useless, and to use this higher mind to keep attention here. I do nothing, I go nowhere, I do not exist. It's all bring back to I. It's not to deny the play of life, of existence. It's about the existence of I. So we may use these statements as much as needed, required, but ultimately we don't need these statements because it becomes like your own experience that I is not existing, I is not real, there is no doership, it's just happening. So there, when you are just not the doer and it's just happening, then life is working much more easily and it's become very smooth and even more and more magical. So that's the meaning of self-surrender, which we call also the highest type of devotion, because there is beyond the separation of subject and object. So it's a way to put things, to have a clear understanding that we are searching for happiness or liberation, truth, love, whatever we might label it. So this is a direction. We take a direction because we feel lost, we feel we miss something as I, as a separate entity. So we take this direction. A direction, it's a pointer, and it will with time become more and more directionless. It will become more and more obvious that it's all here. I never been anywhere else, and it's not possible to be somewhere else because here is the only real place, which is the absolute home. So I'm always home, whatever happened to this physical world, physical body mind. So this inner absolute confidence to be sad bring joy and the ground of support for life to play as it likes, because there is not so much this I in between who are resisting, being in conflict with others, conflict inside, conflict with the play as it is going on. So this is a secret, simple understanding, which is more than a mental understanding. It's a light which comes by itself when it is receivable. So this we cannot force it, but just by listening carefully, if the mind is speaking, the thought or coming, I'm just in this listening beyond subject and object. So it's even in listening, while you're listening to me now, you can even be in that listening which is beyond subject and object. There is no one listening or one speaking, is just a field, an experience which is totally subjective without two. So, and this you can apply it anywhere in your daily life, when you talk with people, when you're alone, you close your eyes, any kind of experience, just to be in this subtle inner listening beyond subject and object, and let the noise cross. Also the noise we objectify, and I am the subject, but also to let it be beyond the notion of subject and object, whether noise, whether thoughts, whether emotion, feelings, whatever. And you are this absolute subjectivity, the pure consciousness, which is unaffected by what's happening in the field of consciousness. So, I thank you for listening. I will see you very soon, and you can like the video, subscribe to the channel. So, namaste, thank you.